Well, to wrap things up, they end the day just as they started it. Barça were ridiculous and dreadful on 2 counts in their dealings with UEFA. They'll need to wear UNICEF again or do whatever it takes with some refereeing officials since things haven't gone well for them recently. Although, well, wait for tonight because Flick said, let's see if now they favor us, right? There's something there that until today's match is over and I see things or stop seeing them, I'm not going to trust it. Well, there it is, Barca's ridiculous, dreadful performance. Regarding the formal protest the other day about the incident between Pubil and Musso, UEFA says it has resolved it. After the first leg of the Champions League quarterfinals played on Wednesday, April 8, between Atletico de Madrid and Barcelona, Barcelona filed a protest related to a refereeing decision. The UEFA Control, Ethics and Disciplinary Committee declared the protest inadmissible. The protest and everything related to Barça, because my goodness, all the things they've done. And by the way, speaking of that, right, that UEFA finds out about the things Barça has been doing in recent years, beyond the fact that later he goes to the door to sweet talk Seferino, Zeferina, Ljubljana, to Slovenia, to tell him not to sanction me and all that. What Collins was talking about yesterday, about that moment in the Bernabeu box the other day, during the Real Madrid versus Bayern match, where, well, Luzan was there, Zeferin was there, Florentino was there, and apparently when Florentino says to Zeferin, like, about the Barça case, that they suspended it, they didn't close the case they had opened, and no, the federation hasn't told us anything, right? And that's why Luzan ended up, they say it was because of that, we don't know, hopefully, because, I mean, something would be happening there, right? Or something is happening there, right? So Luzan moved up a few rows in the box, and that Florentino was there, that he was smoking like crazy, that he was really pissed off. Well, we'll see. The thing is, I also have to tell you that this report to UEFA, not from Real Madrid, but from this initiative I've already told you about, led by Juan Luis Martín de Pozuelo, is already underway. So much so that UEFA should already have it. Careful, because things are happening. I can't say more for now, but things are happening. Things are happening, and they could reach a good outcome through the open path, the ethical path, not the disciplinary one, because that one was exhausted. As far as the sports law in Spain is concerned, but yes, there is an ethical path, which is the Federation, UEFA, FIFA, with their ethical codes, where a crime like this would not be time barred, right? Not yet. Therefore, there is a path to follow, which Madrid did not dare to take at the time. Let's see now where this goes, what Madrid has supposedly done with UEFA and FIFA. But to have everything tied up and well secured, and especially because we need justice after 2 decades of payments by a club to the head of referees, well, there are also people who have taken action. And, well, that's all I can say. But anyway, this is one of today's things about Barça. The other is, and now I'm talking to you about Madrid. I'm going to start more with Madrid, but anyway, let's finish with the other one. UEFA sides with Atletico after Barca's complaint about the height of the grass. Remember that yesterday Hansi Flick was complaining to a UEFA delegate who was there on the field at the Metropolitano while Barca was training about the height of the grass. And I say, look, I mean, that's enough. Nothing is good enough for them. They don't like anything. Besides, they're complaining about things about Barca that actually prove us right, don't they? In the sense, and we mentioned it in one of the latest videos, not about the grass, not at all, right? But about the refereeing, Flick was saying. No, it's that the details can change a match, like when they send a guy off and so on. They're talking about the whole Negreira affair that's been going on forever in Spain, right? Like we mentioned in yesterday's video, wow, minutes played by both teams who play in La Liga every year against each other, Real Madrid and Barcelona. Whether with a man advantage or a man down, the yellow and red cards given to the opposing teams and to yourself and so on, and those numbers, those statistical aberrations in a general picture, which is nothing less than 26 years, the whole 21st century, right? And then when you say that, they tell you all you do is complain. Watch their coach for one game and see how much he complains. Imagine dealing with that for over 20 years. Barça complains to UEFA about the height of the grass at the Metropolitano, and UEFA sides with Atletico de Madrid. And employees from both clubs and the European organization check that it measures 26 millimeters and that it's within the established limits. So, man, really, what an obsession, and what an obsession for right now they're messing around. Like many complained the other day about Povil and Musso, UEFA sides with the referee and Atletico de Madrid. Are they complaining about the height of the grass, or are they just being a huge pain in the ass? And then also, and I believe this, and I hope, my God, we can't say anything until the match is played. With Atleti involved, Atletico de Madrid stays sharp. I hope they mess up because, of course, that arrogance they've shown. About the comeback and all, you can hope for a comeback. You can believe in it. But that nonsense, like, let's see if Simeone puts a man-to-man marking on me on the plane saying this guy's going to score 2 goals, all that nonsense. Well, let's see if they pay for it. Well, Madrid is already in Munich, and there's Mbappé with those 3 stitches above his eyebrow, right? Those 3 bandages there. And remember, he didn't train on, when was it that he didn't train? On Sunday, but he's been training more or less normally. And this afternoon, there's a press conference starting at 6:15 Spanish time. We'll be there live with Arbeloa. There's a player, I still don't know who it is. I'll find out in the next few hours. Let's see which Real Madrid player will speak. And you have the video from this morning talking with Quique Recchio from Madridismo al Dia about Arbeloa's options for putting together a starting 11. And we were betting on the one, not the one we'd like for Quique and me, which might be different, in 1 or 2 players, but the one we think Arbeloa is going to choose, although maybe something could have changed in the last few hours. But anyway, check out the video. It's uploaded there. I'll put it here at the end of this video. And well, that's the sports topic. A sports topic that I'm going to discuss in relation to Mbappé. Mbappé has given an interview to GQ magazine. He says, over time, you understand that football is not just what you do with the ball. It's also about the collective. Consistency, responsibilities. Nowadays, talent is not enough. Damn, man, damn. Of course, look, I start from something that I'm going to agree on now with Álvaro Benito. Recently, I criticized Álvaro Benito because sometimes I don't understand him and other times I agree. It's not just about always agreeing or disagreeing with someone. Sometimes it's yes and sometimes it's no. And now I'm revealing them, those statements from yesterday on El Larguero. But what Mbappé says is like, hey, man, practice what you preach, excuse me. And I'm telling you, he's a guy who has to play, who scores a lot of goals, who for me, in terms of potential, and he has been in some seasons, even though he hasn't won any Ballon d'Or, is the best player in the world in terms of ability. But guys, if you're saying this, come on, press a little more, get into the box a bit more, attack the box, make the moves that, not me, because then people say, why don't you become the coach? No, excuse me. He says it to Thierry Henry and maybe to Arbeloa, though we're not sure. I believe so, but many football experts don't understand some of Mbappe's moves. Man, there are some people here who say he's making fun of Madrid fans because of this or that. Well, anyway, I don't go that far, but every time he says something like this, I tell him, man, what happens is that later, well, it's a bit of both. Well, playing for Real Madrid is like a gift from God. Living my passion, playing the best matches, being in the best club in the world. Well, those are very nice words about Madrid. In fact, I have some others here, an excerpt here. Let's see. Hold on. No, not this, not this. I'll show it to you later. It says, when I'm at the Bernabeu, I feel like I'm on the world's best ground. Yes, we've seen that. Today, I'm in the environment I dreamed of as a child because I've always tried to do what it took to get there through hard work, discipline, and pushing myself. Well, there will be people who say, you know, this guy, in terms of marketing and all that, everything he says always sounds very nice, but what he does is another story. What happens is there's a big asterisk like, hey, this guy scored 40-something goals last season, but this year, even though he hasn't scored in a few matches and has gone cold in front of goal, let's see what happens tomorrow in Munich. But he's not performing badly in terms of goals either. He's not performing badly in terms of goals. I kind of go back and forth on that. I go back and forth a lot, you know. There are some things I don't like and other things I do like, and I'm only talking about the sports side of things. Álvaro Benito has spoken about that. I think we have it. We have it here. That's right. Look, let's listen to it in his own words. Yesterday on El Larguero. It's interesting. Look.
Let's see. I think the analysis goes a bit further. I mean, Paris Saint-Germain in the last year, Mbappé could have easily been a Champions League champion. If he had stayed, they likely would have been the top contender again the following year with Mbappé. And Mbappé comes to Real Madrid, to a Real Madrid that has nothing to do with the one from years ago. I mean, the problem with Mbappé, Madrid's problem now isn't Mbappé. It's not that they've brought in Mbappé. They have a lot of problems with several others. And even if he's less committed defensively, the real problem is everything else. I mean, the problem is everything else. The situation with Cruz, with Modric, with Casemiro, etc. The problem is the rest of the squad, not Mbappe. I mean, Mbappe is precisely the one who's at the very top level in the team, along with a few others. For me, I wouldn't say he's at the very top, but he's at a great level. I mean, I'm saying he's a top level player. Come on, he's one of the few players in the squad that you can say, yes, yes, he's undisputed. Yes, yes, one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. So I think the problem with Mbappe at Real Madrid isn't Mbappe himself, but rather what's around him. I don't think Real Madrid currently has a squad that's a top contender for the Champions League, though they could be. I believe there are 3 or 4 other teams. You mean better, right?
Okay, yes, it's clear the environment hasn't helped since we've had 2 terrible years. I mean, you have to say the problem isn't Mbappe, it's not just Mbappe, but I repeat, there are a lot of things that can be improved in Mbappe's off-the-ball play. And besides, in interviews, he goes and admits it, but he doesn't do it. But anyway, that's that. I've been dealing with that issue for weeks. I talked a bit with Kike Recio in the previous video. Check it out if you want. Lastly, I was going to mention something else, but with the press conference coming up, we'll cover tomorrow's preview then. I don't want to skip it. And it's this thing about what do we bring back? This is pure archive stuff, but I didn't remember. And the thing is, since we're dealing with the Negreira case, I should have linked it to the Barça thing. Someone brought it back from a while ago from the Cope network. They were there. Telling something that we don't usually mention when we talk about the Negreira case, because we always say things like they won't find an envelope with money and so on. Wait a minute. It's clear they engaged in corruption. Everything from the boss down, right? Paying the boss 8.4 million. But there's something that we need to emphasize. The thing is that the money trail hasn't been found yet. That doesn't mean it won't be found. But it's at least suspicious, right? And I want to highlight this from Angel Garcia Muniz, who speaks quite well about the topic when he talks about it. One of the few from COPE who stands out when they talk about the Barcelona Negreira case. He said this long ago, and it's crucial we remember so it isn't forgotten. Also, in response to your comments, you tell me, no, Miguel, you're not annoying. We have to keep bringing this up every day, even if it's just a little, so it doesn't get forgotten, so we keep fighting. We're still fighting, as I told you before, right? About that claim to UEFA, etc., that complaint to UEFA. Or make it, to take that complaint to the Spanish Football Federation. I mean, like taking it up to UEFA. I wanted to say, I don't know if I'm using the right terms in this legal administrative language, but just so you know, something is being done. Well, anyway, I won't ramble on. This is what they said.
That the tax agency, the prosecutor's office, and the police clearly suspect that there were payments to third parties. They suspect it, but they have no way to prove it, or at least they haven't managed to prove it yet. What do I mean? All 3 of them make it clear in their conclusions that he received 7.5 million and that there is no documentary justification for those payments. They make it clear that it's very striking that those payments ended exactly when Negreira stopped being part of the technical committee of referees. They keep insisting they have no evidence. That's why people in Barcelona repeat there's no proof of payments to referees or that results were affected. But they do have a lot of suspicions, specifically with a figure, and I'll give it to you exactly. 557,871.52 euros. That is more than €500,000 withdrawn in cash by Enrique Negreira. What do they suspect? That they were used for payments to third parties. Why do they suspect it? Because he already had a Visa card with which he paid his normal expenses and because he did not increase his assets. Each agency, tax agency, prosecutor's office, police, notes that over €500,000 was withdrawn in cash, and they suspect, but can't prove, it was paid to third parties.
Of course, that money that this man withdrew in cash, and he has also explained it very well. I think it will never be known, given the already corrupt system, and that is in writing from Judge Aguirre. The previous one, the only one who retired from the investigation phase of this case, said systemic corruption in the refereeing establishment. Don't you think it's clear what the modus operandi was and how things were done? The boss was the one who got paid, and he would tell them or hint to them, or simply by promoting or demoting them in rank, whether earning 300,000 or half that. That was enough for a referee to get suspicious and think either I call the game how this guy wants since he's signaling me, or I'm out. Some referees have already mentioned this. If you didn't referee with the officers in mind, the other day someone said it, I don't remember exactly who it was. I put it in a video. So many things, so many that we've talked about. if you referee based on what the people in the offices want, or they kind of forced you to do it naturally so that things would go well for you. Not just with that. Do you guys think that in that mafia that was set up in the CTA, there couldn't have been a moment from some referee who maybe was resisting or something, because he had promised Barça that he would try to make sure no decisions were made against Barça, that there would be neutrality? Do you guys think it couldn't have happened, allegedly, that Mr. Negreira took that money and told a referee, hey, make sure this happens in a match? Boom. We don't know the money trail. There just isn't one. This guy took it out of the ATMs. Nobody knows what he did with it. But no, he didn't need it because he paid with his cards and all that. I mean, he took a big part of this, but those 500,000 euros, where are they? Maybe there was one. I'm not saying he always did it, but maybe on some occasions, something he wanted to make sure of related to this. Hey, I'm going to give it to this referee. Well, we don't know, but at the time, the civil guard and the police and so on, they did suspect. They really did suspect, and that's going to stay there, but it's unbelievable. I mean, but this wouldn't be necessary to condemn Barça, of course. This is just an extra. Have a great day. Like, subscribe, comment, and share if you enjoyed this video. We'll be back later with the Atleti versus Barça post-match live stream. Bye.